Listen to this. You hand your 4-year-old your phone. 20 minutes pass, you get dinner done, you breathe, and then mom guilt hits. Am I damaging my child's brain? Is that why he or she has been so difficult? Should I be doing some, work with toys instead? Now here's the twist. What if I told you that the guilt you feel, that specific guilt about the screen, is based on a question that science doesn't actually ask? The research doesn't ask how much screen time. It asks something completely different. And once you know what that question is, you will never feel guilty about this in the same way again. But this is important, alright? You might start feeling guilty about something else entirely, and something most parents never see coming. So stay with me. I am Ankita Chandak, Montessori expert and positive parenting and neuroscience coach. On this channel, we take the science of how children's brains actually work and we make it usable for real families. Subscribe because new videos uploaded every week. Most of us are running what I call the old parenting script on screen time, okay? The old parenting script says screens are bad, limit the hours, feel guilty when you don't. But neuroscience asks a completely different question. Not how long, but how. Think of it like food. Is food bad for children? No. But does it matter what they eat, when and how? Completely, right? So screen time is identical. What the research consistently shows is the number of hours is almost irrelevant compared to three things: what your child is watching, how they are watching, and what happens in the 10 minutes after the screen goes off. That's the whole game. The studies that scared us, the ones showing developmental delays, were looking at children watching background television alone for hours with no adult anywhere nearby. That's a completely different thing from you sitting with your child, let's say Arjun, watching one Bluey episode and talking about why Bandit got it wrong today. 3 things today in this video. What the science actually says simply: the habits that make screen time completely harmful versus completely fine, and the practical framework built for the Indian family reality where there are joint families, grandparents, and different rules in every home. First up is the brain piece. Your child's brain learns through cause and effect. I cry, someone comes. I press this, something happens. I say a word, my mom responds. That back and forth loop is how connections get built in the early years. When Arjun watches a screen alone, the video plays whether he responds or not. He gets stimulation. The loop doesn't close. The learning doesn't happen. Now watch what changes when you're in the room. You pause it and say, "Oh, what do you think will happen next?" And Arjun answers. The loop gets closed. Learning happens. You've just turned passive watching into active brain development. Researchers call this joint media engagement or joint focus, and it is the single biggest predictor of whether screen time builds your child or wastes their time. The question was never about the screen. It was always about whether there's someone in the room with the child engaging. Now the sleep piece, where the real damage is. Now here's where the old parenting script gets something genuinely right, for the wrong reason. But screens before bed are actually harmful. Not vaguely, not maybe, specifically. Blue light from devices blocks melatonin, which is the hormone that signals sleep to the brain. Children who've probably had screen time within 1 hour of bedtime will take longer to fall asleep. They will wake up more during the night. They're more irritable in the morning the next day. That unexplained mood the next day, that behavior you cannot trace back to anything. Sometimes it's just last night's episode. 1 hour screen free before sleep. That is the one rule which is worth protecting above all others. Okay, now I want to stop here for a moment, because I just told you the science, and okay, some of you are nodding, some of you are thinking, all right, Ankita, this is all very nice, but my mother-in-law has an Instagram reel for every meal and my child has learned to just go to whoever has the phone. So I see you. This is the part the parenting books never cover. You're not parenting alone. You are parenting inside a family system, and that system has its own rules. Now here's what actually works, and it's not a family meeting where you announce new screen policies. That can work, but to get to that, there has to be some work done. So let's do one request to one person at a time. Dadi Arjun sleeps so much better on the nights. We do story time instead of phone time. Can you help me with that? You've just made that Dadi your partner, not your opponent, and you've changed one thing: bedtime, without starting a war about everything else. So one change at one time, which is bedtime. That is actually enough to start, and that's a really fantastic start. Now, if there is a child under 3, you have to be in the room always. Not because the content will damage them, but because they'll learn nothing from it without you mediating it if you're offering screens to a child that age, right? So you look for shows where things happen because of other things, cause and effect. Anything with a problem and a resolution, that's narrative thinking being built in real time. Now for ages 6 to 10, one question after screen session. Not what did you learn? That kills the conversation. Try what was the most surprising part. Watch what happens after that, right? Now another thing you need to remember is screens should live in common areas, not bedrooms, not dining tables. The one environmental change removes most of the daily battles is this, you haven't banned anything, you've just moved where the screen lives. Now this is the piece almost everyone skips, and it causes 80% of the meltdowns around devices. When Arjun is on a screen, his brain is in a high stimulation state, okay? Pull the device suddenly and his nervous system has no landing strip. That meltdown is not about the screen, it's about that abrupt transition. A 5-minute warning and then a bridge, 5 more minutes, then we're making a snack together. You've given his brain a place to land. So change the transition, and I'm telling you, you will be able to change the behavior. Now I want to leave you with something I don't say lightly. The old parenting script tells you that being a good parent means controlling every input of your child's life. Less screen time, more flashcards, more structured activities. But neuroscience tells us completely different. What your child's brain needs most is you. Presence, your warmth, and in the room. They don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you around the entire time. They just need you there. And then probably you came back, and I think that's what counts, right? So if you want to go deeper on this, on building a home environment where your child's brain genuinely thrives, RAISE is my 3-day intensive program where we do exactly what works together. We generate the scripts, we do the work, we do the, daily system building so the daily firefighting can stop. And if that's not for you, then there's also a free webinar which is for 2.5 hours. The link for both are in the description below. So yeah, I'm gonna see you there. Bye-bye.